Greetings everybody and welcome to Madrid Ball. I hope you all are feeling much better after getting that victory. Real Madrid have managed to reclaim that second spot thanks to Raphael Varane and his brace, and in the end, when the whistle blew, it was a sigh of relief. And I think this was how most of us felt at the end of the match. It wasn't the most glittering performance. We were in danger of getting another poor result with the way we had started in the second half, but we upped our game after conceding that goal. You can say there was a bit of luck involved as well, but I think the general feeling is that it's alright. We'll take the victory, we'll take the 3 points and move on because the conditions were far from ideal. As we had discussed earlier, the bench was so weak and it's not like we had fielded the best starting 11 as well. Add to that, the news regarding Sergio Ramos and the possibility of him missing another 6 weeks of action was buzzing the streets of Spain. That certainly didn't help, but we got the job done and that will take some pressure off Zidane, at least for now. In this video, we will do the post-match analysis of Huesca versus Real Madrid, so let's get started. First things first, let's have a look at the lineup. We had Courtois in goal, Nacho, Varane, Mendy and Odriozola in the back line. We had Kroos, Casemiro and Modric in the midfield, and up front we had Asensio, Benzema and Vinicius. And now it's time for the shoutouts, and finally we have a few who have got their predictions right. Mr. RT Hype and Mr. Harsh both predicted 2-1 in favour of Madrid, and I congratulate the both of you for getting your predictions correct. Moving on, talking about this lineup, we can say that the lineup really picked itself, and there wasn't any scope for alterations, as there were no options at the disposal of Zidane as we set up in the 4-3-3. Huesca, on the other hand, we had discussed in the match preview that they set up in the 3-5-2 formation. This has been the preferred setup for the new coach Pacheta, and to be fair, the game plan of Pacheta worked well in the first half, and they had made a strong start in the second half as well. As for Real Madrid, in the first half, we had the possession. We had 71% of the ball, but we were unable to create much out of it. There were a few good moves here and there, but we didn't really trouble Huesca much in the first half. I thought it was only in the second half, after we conceded that goal, that we shifted gears. We increased our intensity and we were creating much more in the second half. If we are to see any signs of encouragement, those 30 minutes in the second half can be seen as a positive from the match, especially if you consider the way we reacted in the previous match where we didn't show any intention of getting back in the game. In comparison to that, this game was much better, and I also thought it worked in favour of Madrid that we conceded the goal in the early minutes of the second half. That gave enough time to the players to mount a response. Often we have seen that if the score remains 0-0 till the 70th or the 75th minute, the teams in the bottom half of the table, they try to sit back, sit deep and defend, and then we know this Real Madrid side has big problems tackling with these setups. The keepers I thought had a sublime game. We have to thank Courtois again for keeping us in the game. He made that excellent save from the header of Raphael. It was headed from close distance and Courtois was up for the task, but we really have to hand it to the Huesca keeper Álvaro Fernández. He was outstanding on the night. He made a few good saves, but this save from the shot of Benzema was the highlight of the evening. It was almost as if he was taking a bullet for his side. It felt like a scene similar to a soldier going down after taking a bullet in a war movie. So thumbs up to Álvaro Fernández there for putting up a good display. And now let's move forward to the individual performances. But before going into the good, I want to talk about the performance of Nacho and Odriozola. There were big questions regarding Nacho in this match when you consider that he has just recovered from the coronavirus, and the performance of Nacho can quite easily be criticized, but it's difficult when a person is dealing with the coronavirus. The victims do seem to have weakness even after recovering, and Nacho had just 2 or 3 training sessions before the match. So I thought it was a good effort by him. We could see that he wasn't at his best, he wasn't sharp enough. We had seen Raphael at times, he got the better of Nacho physically, but overall he was okay, and again, he answered the call of Zidane. About Odriozola, however, I cannot heap a few words of praise because he didn't have a good game once again. This was his 3rd start in 4 games, but clearly he has lost his confidence. There is lack of communication between him and the rest, and there was an instance in the 1st or 2nd minute, I guess, where Real Madrid were passing the ball at the back. Odriozola received the ball. He had time and options available for the pass, but he decided to pass the ball straight to the Huesca man who was near the penalty area. Thankfully, that didn't lead to a goal, and to make things worse, he's now another player on the injury list. It seems that he pulled up his hamstring during the game, and that will be another issue that Zidane will have to deal with. Marcelo was forced in due to the injury. Mendy then shifted to the right and Marcelo played left back, and I thought that was a decent cameo from Marcelo. Obviously he came close to scoring. There was that shot which whizzed past the post, but it's undeniable that Marcelo just brings something more to the attack. Mendy had made a few good runs from the back. He was taking on his man going close to the penalty area, but his final ball was again the problem, just a bit like Vinicius. But from Marcelo, you know, attacking wise, you will get some good crosses and he will create some decent chances. I was actually thinking during the game that since Hazard is going to be out for a while now, how would it work if we put Mendy in left back and put Marcelo on the left wing? wing. I think that should be considered, keeping in mind what both the players bring to the table. You got the offensive skill of Marcelo and you got the defensive skills of Mendy. Now that's just a thought off the top of my head. I would like it if you can also put forward your thoughts on Marcelo playing on the left wing. Up next, let's talk about the other winger. If we talk about Asensio, I thought he had a decent game. His offensive contributions were notable. He went on that solo run where he attacked that Huesca defense through the center, but his shot at goal took a deflection and it went out. As the clock was ticking in the second half, there were also times where he was drawing in a few fouls, helping in keeping the ball, and that was a good outing from Asensio. Even Zidane had some good words for him after the match. He didn't get the goal, but he continues to improve. He was good offensively, but I still think there is some room for improvement in his defensive game. The duo of Asensio and Odriozola on the night clearly didn't click. Up next, if we do a match review and if we don't talk about a midfield, then I think it would be absolutely criminal. How important is the trio of Kroos, Casemiro and Modric? All had their contribution in the victory. Kroos, I felt, was the standout performer in the midfield. He ended up with some incredible stats. Have a look at this. He had 118 passes, 96% passing accuracy, 6 key passes, completed 12 out of his 13 long balls, and he obviously was the one who took the set piece which led to the second goal. Kroos did most of the things right in the game, but he also got that yellow card, which means that he will miss the game against Getafe on the 9th, and that will be a major headache for Zidane. Who will play in his place? Will Isco be fit? Will Marvin Park play for him? That would be a major conundrum for Zidane. And if we talk about Modric in this game, he had a slow start. He was giving away the ball many times in the first few minutes, but as the minutes progressed, he grew into the game. He got into his stride, and then he was more comfortable floating past the opponents. I do think that we don't appreciate the midfield quite often. We have majorly focused on how the youngsters are not getting a chance, and that is true. Zidane could have handed them more minutes, but Kroos, Casemiro and Modric, they have been very good this season. Kroos, we know how good he is. Modric has won 3 Player of the Months already for Real Madrid, and Casemiro, he has got us some crunch goals in very crucial games. I think we have to give them credit. What they are doing at this age is admirable, and we need them to keep performing at this level if we are to put any pressure on Atletico. Hopefully they don't pick up any injury and don't get burnt towards the latter stages of the season, because they have been playing a lot of minutes. They have been literally playing every single minute of every game. And the final words on Raphael Varane, the man of the match. He scored after a goal drought which stretched for a year, but he got a brace and ensured Real Madrid got over the line. For the first goal that he scored, Benzema was unlucky to hit the post with his free kick, but luckily the ball didn't go out of play. It stayed in and it went up in the air. The keeper couldn't get up in time as the ball came down quickly, and Raphael Varane rose the highest. He had his eyes on the ball and then he headed the ball into the back of the net. For the second goal, Casemiro's header came off the Alaves keeper, but Raphael Varane was there in the right place at the right time, and he gave Madrid the advantage. Defensively as well, he was alright most of the times cutting out the danger, but at times there were difficulties dealing with Rafa Mir. I won't deny it. Anyways, Varane grabs the headlines from yesterday's game, and as you can see here, he made the cover of Marca with that brace. Marca coming out with the title No Tira la Toalla, which translates to Don't Throw in the Towel. And that is what we have to do. The performance yesterday was by no means satisfactory, but we have to keep winning. We have to keep collecting these points, and we have to try to cut down the gap between us and Atletico. It's a bit disappointing that we have to rely on our defenders getting cheeky goals, but that has been the trend this season. It's very rare that we see some beautifully constructed goals with some good link-up play. There was one instance in the 68th minute where Vinicius, Modric, I'm very pleased with the performance. We didn't get off to the best start, but after 20 minutes we began to control the game. It was important to get the win, and we have to keep winning and get back to our best football, which we all want to see at Real Madrid. Zidane was then asked for his thoughts on the victory coming from behind. It's not easy to come from 1-0 down. We struggled a bit after the goal, but we knew we could turn it around, and we showed great character to do so. It's significant to get a win like this after going behind. He was also asked about Sergio Ramos and his operation in his left knee. Zidane replied it was important for him to have the surgery so he could be more relaxed. We had to do it because he was at his limit and the operation was a success. The key thing is to see him starting work so he can be back with us as soon as possible. In the process, Zidane also dismissed the notion that the contract talks may be affected due to the injury. And that is what the boss had to say, and now I would like to conclude this video with some thoughts on our captain. As we know, he will miss out a few games due to the surgery. He is expected to miss around 6 weeks, and that would make this the longest injury spell of his Real Madrid career. But there are some big questions regarding this injury. He picked up the injury as he was warming up before the Super Cup game against Athletic, and even though he had discomfort, he played through the pain in that game. Did he further aggravate the injury after playing the entire game? These questions keep popping up, and this is possibly the worst time for Sergio Ramos to get injured. We all know his importance in the side, and with the contract negotiations almost halted, he could have used those games to put more pressure on the management to renew his contract. As of now, it's all up in the air, and we have to wait and see how the situation develops going forward, but I'll keep you updated on the new and latest developments. And that is all I have here in this video. Do let me know, what did you think about the performance of our players? Which player impressed you the most? Write in the comments below. I will see you soon. Till then, take care, glory to Madrid, and as always, Hala Madrid.